All right, question of the day. What is your favorite 4X game? Now, there's a lot. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of those out there. Twilight Imperium is a personal favorite of mine. Now, again, this comment section could devolve into, well, that's not actually a 4XX game, right? I get it, right? But what is your favorite civilization style game? Now, I think of things like Mosaic in here. I think of things like even Tapestry in here. Now, those are wildly divisive because people go, oh, well, that's not actually a civil. I get it. But let me know what your favorite civilization or 4X game is in the comments below, because today we're talking about Clash of Cultures. And what a better weekend. All In is this weekend, the highest attended wrestling event of all time, happening in the UK by a US company. Right there, Clash of Cultures. See, that's what we're talking about. Not really, but anyway. Today we're talking about Clash of Cultures from Wizkids. Now, I'm going to be honest, there are a lot of things that deter me from wanting to learn a game. When I opened this game, I thought, oh no, this is a lot of stuff, and I'm kind of worried about it. But thankfully, I have the best wife in the world because Carla punched this and got everything set up so that we could just roll streamline straight into this. So I'm very thankful for her for that, because today Clash of Cultures is a 4X game all about exploring and all the other X's. E's. Why aren't they called E's, by the way? They should be called E's. But all about ancient history, civilizations, and stuff, and really, anyway, we'll do that in final thoughts. But let's talk how this game plays. Just to give you a clarification, this is a quick overview. Now, there are multiple rules that I'm not going to touch, like trade routes and all the different things that you can get from bumping up your advanced track. Those are things that will change based on how you play the game. So you're going to need to look at this sheet when you play the game and see kind of what do you want to do. Now, again, you're going to have to make some of that change on the fly, but at the end of the day, you need to know roughly what these do. Now, let's take a look at this overview. We'll come back up, talk final thoughts right now. Hey, before we dive in, make sure to get your 8-Bit Tom shirt. This is an 8-Bit inspired Tom Vassell shirt right at the Dice Tower merch store, dicetowerstore.com. Get yours today, because pre-orders are wrapping up soon, and then we'll start producing them from them. But if you get your pre-order in, you'll get yours first and have the coolest, swankiest 8-Bit Dice Tower shirt on the planet. The only one. But you'll be the only one that has it. Let's look at the overview. All right, this is Clash of Cultures setup. Now, I wanted to show you, this is the bottom of the board here. It extends over. We're set up for 2 players right now. You'll start with a settler and a city that is happy. Just keep that in mind for a little bit. Also, 2 food, and then you'll have your advancement board down here. A couple things to note, you have this event tracker here. When you advance, you're going to take it from here unless told otherwise. Now, that matters because once all 3 of these have been triggered, an event will trigger. Then you're also going to get your civilization board. We're playing with the expansion here, which I don't see why you wouldn't, honestly. But we're playing with the expansion. You get a civilization board here, and then you get your leader. So we currently have Persia. Now, some of them will give you a starting tile that is different, but most everybody's starting tile looks like this. The game is played over 6 rounds, 3 turns, 6 eras, 3 rounds, and each person gets a turn on those rounds. The way it works is you're going to take 1 or 3 of 6 different actions. Number 1 is advance. You can pay 2 food to advance on here. That means you'll take one of these and put it on one of these tracks. Now, you'll also have farming and mining to start with. So you will already have those, which means you can do that. In order to build one lower, you don't have to have all of them in order. You just have to have the top one. So if you have mining, you can then build roads immediately next if you want to. When you build or advance one of these, whatever color the outline, so yellow or blue, you're going to take one of those tokens, and those can be spent as currency for other things, including making your cities happier. Then the next thing you can do is you can found a city. So you can take a settler on an empty space, and you can found a city. Now, they can also move onto these spaces to turn them over. Now, if there's water on it, the water needs to be a couple different placement rules. It either needs to be placed on the outside, expanding a bigger body of water, or if you can't really do any of that, you just kind of get to place it. Let's say we put him there. With a move action, we could then turn him into a city. So now we have 2 cities. The size of these cities is 1 currently. Now, if a city is happy though, when you activate a city, which we'll talk about next, you actually gain 1 more piece. If it's neutral, you gain the amount of the size, and if it's unhappy, you always gain 1, even if it's a size 5 city. Now, what I love about this game is these buildings have this nice little round groove in it where they just actually legitimately build out the city center. It looks just super great. So, this city now is a size of 3. But let's talk about
the fact that it's happy, what you can do with that. So a size 3 city that is happy allows you to, when you activate the city, you can collect up to the size +1. So this is a 1, 2, 3. We would gain 4 goods. Now the goods we have available to us are the ones that are adjacent to the city and on the city tiles. So currently we can take a wood, a stone, and a food, since we can take 4 things. You'll take those goods, mark them here. Another thing you can do when you activate a city is you can recruit there. Now in order to recruit, you'll pay the cost of the unit listed on your board here. All the buildings, all the units, all the actions, it's actually a really great player aid, are listed on there. So you'll pay those costs and then recruit. The other thing is, though, if you activate a city more than once, you start to make the people unhappy. So if you activate it another time, it would be neutral. If you activate it a third time on a round, it would be unhappy, which is why you want to have more than one city out there, obviously, to activate. The next thing you can do would be to construct the buildings. You'll pay the cost of the building, put the building out there. Remember, this is all the activate city, but it's either. You choose these. So it kind of stops you from doing the same city, building it up in one turn, unless you want to make it unhappy. Move, you can move 3 units or 3 unit groups, 1 space. Now, some upgrades will let you move that further. You can never move the same person in the same move action. You'd have to take another turn later to do it. Now, the next thing you can do is you can improve happiness. You spend happiness tokens, which would be these, the amount of the size of the city. So 1, 2, 3, we can make this now happy again by spending 3 of these tokens out there. Next thing you can do is you can influence culture. So someone else, let's just say they have a city center here with one of these on it. If I wanted to, I could pay the cost and then roll a dice, and if I get a certain number, I could then replace this with mine. So you're influencing their city with your ideas. And at the end of the game, points are given based on this rubric down here. So it's a point per settlement and building, so that would now be your building in their city, as well as half a point for your advancements on here, 2 points per objective, those would be the objective cards, 4 points for a wonder, some event cards have them, and then 2 points per enemy leader defeated, so you can defeat other people's. Now you're also going to get objective and action cards. Some of them are free actions, some of them are spend an action. But the objective cards have a more passive thing here and then a battle thing. If during the status phase, which comes after everybody's taken their turns for those first 3 rounds in that era, you'll do a status phase. And the way you do that is you'll check objectives. You'll then receive a free advancement, from here. And then you'll also draw cards. That's where you draw those. Then you'll change your government if you want to. You can't have more than one type of government. You can only have one. And then determine first player. Now, as you move, the board's going to uncover and win anytime. Let's just get some water out here. You can have a port, for instance, which is pretty awesome. So let's just move our city right here now. So now we have a port here in this city. So now we can recruit ships, and we can also... if you have fishing, you can get food from water as well, but now we can recruit ships out there. So when you recruit, you put your units out there, and if a unit is ever in the same space as an enemy unit, you'll then fight. Fighting is done pretty deterministically. You'll roll dice based on the number, it's not determined, it's random. You roll dice based on the number of units in the combat. Whoever comes out with the most successes gets the victory, but it works in sets of 5. You have to have a number 5 to get a hit, and a hit will remove one of the enemies off the board. Now, there will be barbarians and pirates that get out there that you can fight, and it kind of works like Western Legends, that you're just fighting kind of an AI control. Not really AI, but they don't really do anything except fight and take your stuff and make you unhappy. The game ends at the end of the first phase of the status phase of the last round. Count points, person with the most points wins the game.
All right, so that is Clash of Cultures Monumental Edition. Now, first and foremost, as we always do, as I remind you, we talk art, then art direction, and then gameplay. So first of all, art. The game... When I say art, I really mean the whole package, the Lex Luger, the total package presentation of this game. When you see this on the table, you go, oh, dang, those are war elephants. You see this, you immediately look at it and go, okay, I want to know what that is, right? Even if you don't like civilization games, this has a great table presence. First of all, the board itself looks nice. And one little thing that I thought was really interesting, maybe I'm crazy about, but no matter which way the mountains are turned towards you, your brain can see them as the correct orientation for you. Why does that matter? Well, some games, they look weird depending on which side of the board you're sitting on. I know that's silly, but again, you play with your eyes first, right? That's just how the games work. You play with your eyes first, and then you enjoy. It's like a good meal. You eat with your eyes first, right? Anyway, that's why Parsley exists. But the game looks great. The cards look great. The art looks great on the cards. The only thing that's kind of, it's fine. It's not bad. It's just, it looks more like if I showed you this quickly, you'd think, oh, is that Gloomhaven or is that any number of games? There's nothing on this action card or objective card or event cards that screams theme. And that's fine because it's mostly giving you information, but maybe a battle in the background of the action cards, or some sort of historical event in the background of the objective cards, right? Just something to just really infuse that theme. That's my only quibble on the art at all, because the game looks just incredible. Now, as we talk about art direction, the game symbols all make sense because, and it's really unfair to say that, because you have quite possibly one of the best info card, player cards, player guides I have ever seen. Literally every single unit is listed here with what it cost, what it looks like. Now, here's why that matters. There's a lot of little tiny buildings here, and the market kind of looks like the academy kind of looks like the temple, which kind of looks like the fortress. Having this is fantastic. I will say this quite possibly might be the best player aid in gaming, period. That's high praise, because this is a heady game. It's not heady in the sense that every single turn you go, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. But you do need to think about tactics and strategy. As we know, tactics are those kind of quick decisions, but also you need to have a plan going forward. Okay, well, in 2 turns from now, I need to hit these 3 objective cards, right? Now, I lost the last time we played horrendously, but at the same time, I felt good about my strategy, if that makes sense. Like, I felt like I was doing what I needed to do. So, art direction is there, and it kind of cheats in a good way because you have one of the world's best players guides, and then everything else makes sense. You gain this symbol. Well, those symbols are clearly here on the board. In fact, you have these little tokens to show you what each one is. So at the end of the day, the art direction is fair. The only thing that gets problematic is the art direction category of the symbols in the top left of event cards. But then again, the rule book is so good that you immediately turn to the back and go, okay, here's what the event symbols mean. So well done fixing the problem before it even happens. At no point did I have to go, oh wait, what does that mean again? Now we move to gameplay, and I'll talk about the only tricky thing. The only tricky things are the wording for moving. Now, you cannot move a single unit multiple times in one turn. But then again, you could spend your next turn or actions or movement points to move. It's weird, and you have to be really careful about that. Make sure you read it properly to know, okay, I can move this person this many times in a turn versus a round versus an action, right? It's a little tricky. But as far as gameplay goes, this is a very thematic's not the right word. Because yes, you're playing the Vikings, you're playing the Egyptians, you're playing the Phoenicians. Thank you, Phoenician. You're playing all these classic civilizations, but you don't really feel it so much. It's more abstract. So like your leaders will give you things based on the historical thing. Like the Persians. I love the Persians because you've got Darius and you've got Cyrus the Great and you've got Xerxes. Multiple historical records of these characters, whether it's the Old Testament or any kind of ancient Persian record. They're all over the place. And so seeing them here is really cool that they ran straight into the ones that you would know and go, okay, yeah, that's Xerxes. He was in 300, Battle of Thermopylae. And then, granted, he doesn't look quite the same in this game, so probably a good choice there and a weird choice for Zack Snyder's sake. He wasn't that tall. He didn't have that many gold rings. He may have that many gold rings. I don't know, but I don't think he was that tall. But at the end of the day, the game delivers a really nice civilization feel. This to me feels a lot more like Age of Empires. Now I'm rushing because I see the camera battery is yelling at me, telling me the battery's almost dead. So I'm going to try to get to the end of this without belaboring the point. But all in all, Clash of Cultures, while I was a little bit nervous about putting it on the table because I thought, oh man, there's no way Carla's going to like this game. She really liked this game. This is a fantastic civilization building, world building, exploration game. And if you played it too, it doesn't have to be mean. So if you have that person who goes, I don't want to play a fighting game, great. You can fight barbarians and pirates all day and you don't have to fight each other. Really cool. But played it 4, you get that experience of, well, I'm going to influence your city. Much like the Germans did when they sent Lenin back to Russia. They were like, hey, go influence them a little bit. Have fun there. We saw how that turned out. But at the end of the day, there's so many little elements in this that make it for such a great game. Like I saw this, it's been on my shelf for a long time. It came a while back. And I thought, man, I'm going to get to that eventually, but boy, that looks daunting. But now that I've played it and reviewing it, it is so good. This is such a good game. It's an 8.5 for me. Like, it might be the best Civilization or 4X game I've played. Now, granted, Twilight Imperium is my number 1, number 2, number 3 game. I say that because it changes daily, of all time. This one may rival it because I love history. I'm a huge history fan. Hardcore history, Dan Carlin, right? Major history fan. But this one gives you all the feels of, I'm really building an empire, but also doesn't take you so far out of it that you go, okay, this city just gives me wood and rock, right? Like, there's such a good balance in this game. That's probably why it got re-released after 13 years in the Monumental Edition. So if you haven't picked this up yet, and this looks like your type of game, it 100% is your type of game. Oh my gosh, this is such a great game. Like, I was not expecting to like it this much. I saw the back of the box, I saw the kind of the art, and saw even the preview at Gen Con last year, and I thought, that looks cool. Now that I've played it, this is a 100% keeper. Like, this is such a great game. I love the history. I love the pieces. I love the art. The components are amazing. The art is fantastic. And the gameplay is just so good. So if you haven't picked up Clash of Cultures, even if you were worried about, well, I don't want to play a fighting game, you don't have to. You can play your own thing. It reminds me of a Civilization Western Legends. You go get points how you want. Even though here's kind of the strict parameters, you can do it in your own way. So Clash of Cultures Monumental Edition from Wizkids, oh my gosh, 8.5 out of 10. Love this game. Absolutely will be playing this for years to come. So I'm Brian Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Brian. Still 103 degrees outside, so it's a little sweaty in here. But until next time, we'll see you.